With all the reports showing the return of the Friday the 13th franchise, I decided to rank them all 12 of them. Let's get into it. Welcome back, I'm Sippin' Ice, and this may be controversial, but I honestly think Freddy vs. Jason is, boom, B tier. I think it's just a good time. It's by no means a fantastic movie, but it's a good watch. That's why it's not an A or S. The plot kind of sucks a little bit. Some of the characters are a little bad, but let's look at the root of it. Let's grab the stem, yank it out, and look at that root system, dude. That movie, Freddy versus Jason, the clash of the two titans, man. And technically, this movie, I think, even came out before I was born. But it's cool knowing that they wanted to do this for so long, have these two guys battle it out, and all the legal trouble, all the writing situations, everything that kept preventing it from happening. And then it finally happened. And yeah, obviously, with all the expectations, with all the hype it had, it didn't do as good as it originally hoped. Next up, we got the reboot from 2009. This movie, this may be controversial as well, but boom, S tier. I think this movie's fantastic. It really brought back scary Jason for me. But in the later films of, like, for instance, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and Manhattan and all that, it's like, Jason's not really scary anymore. And like, yeah, he's scary in the fact of who he is or whatever. But this reboot really brought back how terrifying he is. It also made him alive again, which I never liked how they killed him and made him like a undead zombie thing. I didn't like that. But my boy was running in this movie, dude. Terrifying. In the opening scene where like the cameras go out there, they're looking, for the freaking pot. They're out there looking for that, and then just that opening scene is fantastic. I love that a lot. But next up, this one, I don't know. I may get some hate in the comments. Let me know, guys. Comment down below if you hate my rankings or if you like my rankings, or because this one I also have B tier, but I will put it at the top of B. Obviously, it's the original, and I know you guys probably have pitchforks in the comments right now, or just watching. You probably got the pitchforks ready. And I'm sorry, you hear me out. It's fantastic for what it is, but it's just dated. You know what I mean? And that's nothing against it. It's just a product of its time. It's really close to being A tier. I will give it that. It's very, very close to being A tier. But it brings it down for me just because of how dated it is, as sad as that is. Before we continue, man, I would just like to ask you, if you are enjoying this video, please consider going down and hitting that like and subscribing for more content just like this. And with all that being said, man, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Next up is part 2. And this is, for me, boom, A tier. You can make the argument saying, well, this one's also dated, which most of these are going to be kind of dated. But, hear me out, at least there's Jason Voorhees in this, man. Don't get me wrong, Pamela Voorhees, goated, love her, she's fantastic. But let's be honest with each other here. The Friday the 13th franchise is what it is because of Jason Voorhees. And then this is where he really gets to shine, because he technically was introduced in the first movie. I don't know if we're going to count that, though. You know what I mean? That's just when he jumped out the legs like, rah, rah, but we're not really going to count that. It was red-headed Jason. It's when he still had hair. This is like the last movie where he had hair. And he wore the bag on his head. I thought that was cool. I really liked the design he had in this movie. And it's kind of sad that it was the only time he had that design. But that brings me into part 3. S tier. Such a good movie. I was just talking about the design of part 2. Where part 3 is where he actually gets the iconic hockey mask. Every time I see a hockey mask, no matter what it is or where the context tries to give it to, I think of Jason Voorhees. If it's a hockey mask, I'm like, oh my god, that's Jason Voorhees. I mean, I think we all do that. Let's be honest with each other. But the only thing, like I said, it dated a little bit, especially because of the 3D effects. But if you just pretend that doesn't happen, all the 3D stuff. It's a fantastic movie, and I love it. Next up, part 4. This one, top of S tier. This one may very well be my favorite Friday the 13th movie. It's got Corey Feldman. It's got the actual death of Jason Voorhees. It's just good. It's just a good movie, man. I mean, Tommy Jarvis and his sister going to town on him, man. And that was also because, as a lot of these movie villains, they got like their, arch nemesis, if you want to call them that. Like the leading person. For Halloween, Laurie Strode. For Ghostface, it's Sidney Prescott. Which now it's not so much Sidney, but you get where I'm going with it. And for Friday the 13th, it was Tommy Jarvis. So part 5, controversial maybe, but B tier. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't have Jason Voorhees. And that's what brings it down. If it did have Jason, if it was Jason, this would easily be an A tier. But it was Roy Burns, dude. And just the reveal of him being who he was, it's almost like those times where you see him and you're like, oh my god, wait, who is that? Was he ever in the movie? But yes, he was in the movie, but for like 5 minutes near the very beginning. So it's almost like you forget who he was. So it's like, I guess I understand your motive and all, but shouldn't you have been in the movie more? Anyways, part 6 is next. Boom, A tier. Great movie. It's like the real conclusion of the Tommy Jarvis saga, sad as that is. And I just want to say a real quick thing. Love the ending of this movie. Fantastic. Where Tommy throws the chains over Jason. They fall in the lake and all this and that. Great. Good one. It's a good one. It's a good one. I also love, now that I think about it, 2009 did something similar, but instead of in the water, he went into like the little, grinder, little that thing. Basically me making those noises automatically, you know what I'm talking about when you hear that noise. So you're welcome. You're welcome. Next up, part 7. This is where it starts getting a little down for me. I'm going D tier.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard. Everyone's laughing, by the way, but it's true because everybody's heard it too. Everyone heard it, right? Everyone's like, yeah, big piece of dog shit.
This movie's terrible. This movie's just not good. I don't like the psychic powers. I always hate when stuff does that. When it tries to do too much. It's just, come on, man. You're just supposed to be a slasher movie. Now you're trying to give someone psychic powers where she can blow stuff up with her mind and stuff. Come on. Why is she at Crystal Lake? She should be over there with Professor X and stuff, man. I don't know. Not good. Not good. Not a good time for me. Not a good time for me. Next is part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. Terrible movie. Terrible movie.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard. Everyone's laughing, by the way, but it's true because everybody's heard it too. Everyone heard it, right? Everyone's like, yeah, big piece of dog shit.
Don't get me wrong. When he actually gets to Manhattan, it's a little entertaining just for the fact that it's, wow, look, he's there. But for just a short time he's there is what ruins it. If he's taking Manhattan, why ain't he there for the movie? I know it's because of budget and all that, but still, man, it's just the premise of it, dude. And I always think it's corny when he had that like acid hit him and his mask came off and he's like, Next up, boom. This is probably my least favorite Friday the 13th movie, and I wanted to love this movie, but it's terrible.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard. Everyone's laughing, by the way, but it's true because everybody's heard it too. Everyone heard it, right? Everyone's like, yeah, big piece of dog shit.
Jason, like I guess he doesn't die, but his body dies at the very beginning of the movie. And he had such a cool design with like the brain sticking out and all that crap. Like such a beautiful design for Jason just to be wasted and him become this little worm thing, dude. What's he gonna become? A freaking butterfly, dude? And he was like possessing people down. Terrible. It goes back to the psychic stuff. Don't like it. which is weird because the last one up is Jason X, which, boom, C tier. Not a good movie, not good plot, nothing is really good about it, except it's just one of those stupid good times. You don't put it on to sit there and like analyzing it, like, I wonder if this was going through their mind, or I see why they're doing that. They're doing that because, nah, you can't do any of that. You gotta shut your brain off and just realize, all right, this is just gonna be Jason killing people. That's what this movie is it's in space. And you know a franchise is going for a long time when they go into space. Look at Jason, look at Leprechaun, look at the Fast and Furious movies. When you go into space, you know you've been doing it a long time. And they've been going a long time. 12 movies now. Pretty crazy. Which is, speaking of, they're coming back. There is a reported show in the making. If you guys would like me to talk about that, leave a comment down below, and I will make a video talking about the new Jason.
You're gonna carry on and plan the sequel, because let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.